The blue marble hung in space like a forgotten jewel. From the bridge of the survey ship Eternal Reach, Commander Zeftar stared at the planet through the viewing screen. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he read the data scrolling across his tablet. Planet designation XK739, he muttered to his crew. Third rock from a yellow star. Water covering most of the surface. Single large moon. Primitive life forms detected. Lieutenant Kolth looked up from her station. Sir, the dominant species appears to have developed nuclear weapons. Should we be concerned? Zeftar's tentacles waved dismissively. No. The files say they've had those crude bombs for less than 100 years. Most species blow themselves up within 50 years of splitting the atom. These humans are probably close to extinction already. The ship had been traveling for 6 months to reach this remote corner of the galaxy. Zeftar had not wanted this assignment. Watching primitive worlds was work for junior officers and scientists. He was a decorated commander who had served in 3 major conflicts. Now he was reduced to babysitting a backward planet full of violent apes. Deploy the monitoring satellites, he ordered. Standard observation pattern. We'll watch them from a safe distance and file reports every month. The satellites launched silently from the ship's belly. Each one was invisible to the primitive sensors the humans used. Within hours, they were picking up radio signals from the planet's surface. The communications officer, a young Zalathi named Pixon, started translating the signals. Sir, they seem to be broadcasting entertainment into space, Pixon reported. Music, stories, and something called television shows. Typical pre-contact behavior, Zeftar said. They don't even know other life exists. Keep monitoring. Over the next few days, the crew learned more about Earth. The humans were divided into nearly 200 separate nations. They fought constantly over resources, territory, and ideas. Their technology was crude but functional. They had barely managed to put a few of their kind on their moon and hadn't returned in decades. They pollute their own atmosphere, Science Officer Velnar reported with disgust. They cut down their forests and poison their oceans. It's like watching children play with fire. Zeftar reviewed the psychological profiles that previous survey teams had compiled. Humans were described as violent, short-lived, and emotionally unstable. They formed strong bonds with their own kind, but were quick to fight with others. Their history was filled with wars, genocides, and destruction. Average lifespan of 80 years, he read aloud. Compared to our 400 years, they're like insects. No wonder they're so aggressive. They don't have time to develop wisdom. The monitoring continued for weeks. The humans seemed unaware they were being watched. They went about their daily lives, working, fighting, loving, and dying in the span of what felt like moments to the long-lived aliens observing them. Zeftar found their behavior puzzling. Despite their violent nature, humans also showed remarkable cooperation. When natural disasters struck, they helped each other without regard for national boundaries. They created art, music, and literature that touched on universal themes of love, loss, and hope. Sir, Pixon called out during one of his shifts, the humans are launching something. A large ship with thousands of people aboard. Zeftar moved to look at the screen. A massive vessel was climbing slowly away from Earth's gravity well. It was crude by galactic standards, held together with bolts and welds instead of the elegant force fields used by advanced civilizations. Where are they going? He asked. Readings suggest they're heading for a nearby star system, Velnar reported. It will take them decades to reach their destination at that speed. Ambitious for such a primitive species, Zeftar admitted. Most don't attempt interstellar travel until they develop faster-than-light engines. These humans are trying to cross space at a fraction of light speed. The ship was called the New Horizons. It carried 15,000 humans in suspended animation, along with supplies and equipment to start a new colony. The aliens watched as it disappeared into the darkness between stars. Should we report this to the Galactic Council? Kolth asked. Zeftar considered the question. The Council had strict rules about interfering with developing civilizations. First contact was only supposed to happen when a species achieved faster-than-light travel on their own. But humans attempting interstellar colonization was noteworthy. We'll mention it in our next monthly report, he decided. It's probably a suicide mission anyway. That ship will drift in space for decades. The humans aboard will likely die of equipment failure or radiation exposure long before they reach their destination. Days passed into weeks. The routine became monotonous. The crew took turns monitoring Earth's communications and tracking the slow progress of the colony ship. Zeftar found himself oddly fascinated by human broadcasts. Their entertainment was crude but energetic. Their news reports revealed a species constantly struggling with problems but never giving up. They're building more colony ships, Pixon reported one morning. 3 more vessels under construction in their orbital facilities. Persistent creatures, Velnar commented. Most species give up after the first attempt fails. The first attempt hasn't failed yet, Zeftar pointed out. The New Horizons is still functioning. Their primitive technology is crude but surprisingly durable. Lieutenant Kolth pulled up historical records on her screen. According to the Galactic database, most species attempt interstellar travel, an average of 2.3 times before abandoning the effort. Humans are already building their fourth ship. Zeftar was starting to realize that the files on humanity might be incomplete. The psychological profiles focused on their aggression and short lifespans but ignored other traits. Humans were determined in a way that seemed almost irrational. They attempted things that more logical species would consider impossible. Sir, the communications officer called out urgently, I'm detecting unscheduled ships entering this system. 3 vessels, unknown configuration. Zeftar felt his blood chill. Show me. The screen displayed 3 dark ships moving fast toward Earth. Their design was unmistakable. Sharp angles, weapon ports, and hull plating designed to absorb sensor scans. Krillian pirates. They must have detected the colony ship launch, Velnar said quietly. Pirates often raid systems when they know a species is expanding beyond their home world. The Krillians were one of several outlaw groups that operated beyond Council jurisdiction. They attacked weak civilizations, stealing resources and technology. A primitive species like humanity would be easy prey. Orders, sir? Kolth asked. Zeftar hesitated. Council regulations prohibited interference in local conflicts. The Krillians were criminals, but they weren't technically violating any galactic laws by attacking a pre-contact civilization. Earth wasn't under Council protection. We observe only, he said finally. Record everything for the report. The pirate ships were already accelerating toward the New Horizons. The human colony ship was helpless, moving too slowly to escape and armed with nothing more than basic defensive systems. In a few hours, 15,000 humans would be dead or enslaved. Zeftar watched the approaching disaster and felt something he hadn't expected: regret. These crude, violent, short-lived humans had impressed him with their determination. Now they were about to become another footnote in a pirate raid report. Contact with the colony ship in 14 minutes, Kolth announced. The crew watched, in silence, as the Krillian ships closed in on their target. None of them expected what would happen next. Captain Sarah Chen was reviewing supply reports when the proximity alarms started screaming. She dropped her tablet and rushed to the bridge of the New Horizons. Her crew was already at their stations, faces tense with concentration. Report, she ordered, sliding into her command chair. 3 unknown vessels approaching fast, said Navigation Officer Torres. They came out of nowhere, Captain. Our sensors didn't detect them until they were almost on top of us. Sarah studied the tactical display. The ships were sleek and dangerous looking. Nothing like the crude vessels humanity had built. Their design spoke of advanced technology and hostile intent. Aliens, she whispered. It was humanity's first contact with another intelligent species, and it was happening 60 billion miles from Earth with no one to witness it but the sleeping colonists in the cargo holds. They're powering weapons, Tactical Officer Kim reported. Energy signatures are off the charts. Captain, we're completely outgunned. The lead alien ship was 3 times the size of the New Horizons. Its hull bristled with weapon ports and sensor arrays. The other 2 ships flanked it in a classic attack formation. Sarah had studied enough military history to recognize a predator when she saw one. Open a channel, she ordered. All frequencies. Channel open, Captain. Unknown vessels. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth colony ship New Horizons. We are on a peaceful mission. Please identify yourselves. The response came in broken English, transmitted with mechanical precision. Human vessel, you will prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in destruction. Your cargo and technology will be claimed as salvage. Pirates. Humanity's first contact with alien life was with space pirates. Sarah almost laughed at the cosmic joke of it all. Captain, Engineer Martinez called from his station. They're charging some kind of particle beam. Power readings suggest it could cut our ship in half. Sarah looked around the bridge at her crew. They were scared, but determined. These men and women had volunteered to leave Earth forever, to cross the void between stars and build something new. They weren't going to give up without a fight. Kim, what do we have for weapons? Defensive lasers only, Captain. They're designed to clear debris, not fight warships. We also have the mining charges for the construction equipment. Martinez, how's our fusion drive? The engineer's eyes widened as he understood what she was thinking. It's running hot, Captain. We could overload it, but it would destroy us along with anyone nearby, Sarah finished. How nearby? The explosion would take out anything within 1,000 kilometers. Sarah studied the tactical display again. The lead pirate ship was closing to within 500 kilometers. Perfect boarding range for hostile forces with advanced technology. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to engage hostile alien forces. Emergency protocols are now in effect. All essential personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. The pirate ships were slowing down, preparing to dock and board. Sarah could see smaller craft launching from their bays. Boarding pods designed to cut through hull plating and deposit armed soldiers inside. Captain, Communications Officer Park called out, I'm picking up other signals in the system. There's another ship out there, but it's not responding to our hails. Sarah filed that information away. One problem at a time. Martinez, prepare to overload the fusion drive on my command. Kim, target our defensive lasers on the lead ship's docking. Bay, Torres, plot a ramming course. Captain? Torres's voice cracked slightly. You heard me. If we're going down, we're taking them with us. The first boarding pod hit the hull with a resounding clang. Emergency alerts flashed as atmosphere began venting from the breach. More pods followed, attaching themselves to the ship like mechanical parasites. Boarding parties have breached decks 7 and 12, Kim reported. Internal sensors show armed hostiles moving through the corridors. Sarah activated the ship's internal defenses. Blast doors sealed throughout the vessel, trapping the boarders in isolated sections. Emergency force fields activated, buying them precious minutes. All mining equipment, this is the bridge, she called over the engineering channel. Deploy your charges as improvised weapons. Repeat, use mining explosives as weapons. The New Horizons shuddered as the first improvised explosions rocked its corridors. Human ingenuity was turning construction tools into instruments of war. The alien boarders had expected easy prey, not a ship full of angry engineers with access to high explosives. Ramming course plotted, Captain, Torres reported. We'll hit them amidships at maximum velocity. Fusion drive ready for overload, Martinez added. Once I trigger it, we'll have maybe 30 seconds before it goes critical. Sarah watched as more boarding pods attached to her ship. The pirates were confident, probably thinking they had already won. They had no idea what humans were capable of when cornered. Execute ramming course. Martinez, overload the drive on my mark. The New Horizons turned toward the lead pirate ship, its engines pushing it forward at maximum acceleration. The alien vessel tried to pull away, but it was too close and too slow. Physics was about to teach these pirates a lesson about human determination. Mark! Martinez's hands flew over his controls. Deep in the ship's belly, the fusion drive began to build toward an uncontainable reaction. Warning lights flashed red as safety systems screamed protests. The collision came first. The New Horizons struck the pirate ship like a battering ram, its reinforced nose section crumpling as it drove deep into the alien hull. Metal screamed against metal as the two vessels locked together in a deadly embrace. Fusion drive critical in 10 seconds, Martinez announced calmly. Sarah looked around the bridge one last time. Her crew remained at their stations, doing their jobs even as death approached. These were the kinds of people Earth had sent to the stars. Brave, determined, unbreakable. It's been an honor serving with you all, she said. The fusion drive exploded. From his position aboard the Eternal Reach, Commander Zeftar watched in stunned silence as the human colony ship vanished in a ball of nuclear fire. The explosion tore through space, engulfing the lead pirate vessel and severely damaging the other two ships. By the 7 moons, Lieutenant Kolth whispered. They destroyed themselves rather than surrender. The remaining pirate ships were retreating, trailing debris and atmosphere from their damaged hulls. One of them was spinning out of control, its navigation systems clearly destroyed by the explosion. Sir, Pixon called out urgently. I'm detecting more human ships in the area. They were hidden behind an asteroid field. 3 more vessels appeared on the sensors, mining ships and cargo haulers that had been part of the colony expedition. They should have been easy targets for the remaining pirates. Instead, they were accelerating toward the damaged alien ships with obvious hostile intent. What are they doing? Velnar asked. They have no weapons. Zeftar watched in fascination as the human ships improvised tactics on the fly. The mining vessel Iron Will used its ore processing beam to slice through the hull of one pirate ship. The cargo hauler Forever Hope rammed the second ship's engine section, disabling its faster-than-light drive. The pirates had never encountered anything like this. Most species either surrendered or died when faced with superior firepower. They didn't turn their industrial equipment into weapons and fight back with desperate creativity. The humans are coordinating their attack, Kolth observed. They're using short-range radio to share targeting data and tactical information. One by one, the surviving pirate ships were disabled or destroyed. The humans showed no mercy and accepted no surrender. When the last alien vessel tried to escape, the Yao mining ship caught it with a magnetic tether and dragged it back for destruction. "They're not stopping," Velnar said with growing alarm. "They're making sure nothing survives to report back to other pirate groups." Within an hour, it was over. 3 human ships remained functional, surrounded by the wreckage of what had been a formidable pirate fleet. The humans had lost their colony ship and 15,000 people, but they had won. "Get me a communication channel to Earth," Zeftar ordered. "Emergency priority." "Sir?" Kolth looked confused. "The Galactic Council needs to know about this immediately. Everything we thought we knew about humans is wrong." As the human ships began salvaging alien technology from the wreckage, Zeftar started composing his report. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth was not the harmless backwater they had assumed. Humanity had just announced its presence in the most violent way possible. The age of human expansion had begun with blood and fire. High Admiral Kesra of the Dominion Warfleet replayed the combat footage for the 15th time. Her scaled fingers drummed against the conference table as she watched human ships tear apart Krillian pirates using mining equipment and cargo haulers. "Analysis," she asked her tactical staff. Colonel Vorth, her senior strategist, cleared his throat nervously. "The humans show complete disregard for conventional battle doctrine, Admiral. They used suicide tactics, improvised weapons, and coordinated attacks without proper command structure. And yet they won," Kesra pointed out. "Yes, Admiral, against overwhelming odds." Around the conference table, representatives from 6 different species studied the data. The Emergency Council session had been called after Commander Zeftar's urgent report reached the capital. Everyone wanted to understand what had happened in the Sol system. Dr. Vexil, the galaxy's leading expert on alien psychology, stood to address the group. His multiple arms gestured as he spoke, a sign of deep concern among his people. "I have studied the combat recordings and analyzed human communication intercepts from the battle," he began. "Their behavior patterns do not match any known psychological profiles." "Explain," demanded Counselor Thane, the hegemony's representative. "Most intelligent species develop logical, calculated responses to overwhelming force. They either surrender to preserve their population or retreat to fight another day. Humans did neither." Vexil activated a holographic display showing the moment the New Horizons rammed the pirate ship. They chose a third option, mutual destruction. But this was not panic or madness. Their communications show clear, rational decision-making throughout the battle. Admiral Kesra leaned forward. "You're saying they chose to die?" "Not exactly. They chose to ensure their enemies died, even if it meant sacrificing themselves. The distinction is crucial. It suggests humans view death as an acceptable cost for achieving their objectives." The room fell silent. Most galactic species had evolved beyond such primitive thinking millennia ago. War was conducted with careful calculations of loss and gain. Suicide tactics were considered barbaric and ineffective. "There's more," Vexil continued. "After destroying the colony ship, the remaining human vessels showed remarkable tactical adaptation. They turned industrial equipment into weapons within minutes. They coordinated complex maneuvers without central command, and they showed no mercy to defeated enemies." Counselor Thane's tentacles writhed uncomfortably. "How is this possible? Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Technology isn't everything," Colonel Vorth admitted reluctantly. "The humans used creativity and aggression to overcome technological disadvantages. They thought outside established tactical parameters. Admiral Kesra had commanded fleets for over 2 centuries. She had fought in wars across dozens of star systems, but she had never seen anything like the human battle recordings. Dr. Vexil, what's your assessment of human military potential?" The xenopsychologist's answer chilled the room. "If humans can reverse engineer our technology and apply their tactical thinking to modern weapons, they could become the most dangerous military force in the galaxy." 3 weeks later, the situation became even more alarming. Intelligence reports from Earth showed human engineers working around the clock to analyze wreckage from the pirate ships. They were making progress at an unprecedented rate. "They've figured out faster-than-light communication," reported Agent Colvin from his monitoring station. "It took them 6 days to understand technology that required our scientists decades to develop." "Impossible," Counselor Thane protested. "Their mathematics isn't advanced enough." "They approached the problem differently than we did," Colvin explained. "Instead of trying to understand the theoretical principles, they simply reverse-engineered the working components and built their own version. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vasquez led a team of scientists studying alien power cores. They didn't have the theoretical background to understand exotic matter manipulation, so they treated it like an engineering problem instead. We don't need to know why it works, she told her team. We just need to know how to make it work for us. Within days, they had built a prototype faster-than-light engine using salvaged alien components and human manufacturing techniques. It was crude and inefficient by galactic standards, but it worked. News of human technological progress spread through intelligence networks. Species that had ignored Earth for centuries suddenly paid attention. The hegemony increased surveillance. The Trade Federation began evaluating Earth's strategic importance. Military planners across the galaxy started updating their threat assessments. Admiral Kessera found herself assigned to develop contingency plans for human expansion. It was a sobering task. Every simulation she ran showed the same result. If humans gained access to advanced technology, they would quickly become a major power. They're not just adapting our technology, she reported to the War Council. They're improving it. Their version of the fusion containment system is actually more efficient than our current design. The breakthrough came when humans cracked faster-than-light travel. The first human starship to achieve superluminal velocity was built in Earth's orbital shipyards using a combination of salvaged alien technology and human innovation. The ship was called Defiance. It was smaller than most galactic vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. When it appeared in the Proxima Centauri system, the monitoring station there barely had time to report the contact before the ship vanished back into hyperspace. They're scouting, Admiral Kessera realized, mapping nearby systems and evaluating potential colonies. Dr. Vexil updated his psychological profile of humanity. They're not content to remain on their homeworld. Everything in their behavior suggests an expansionist species with high territorial drive. The Galactic Council faced an unprecedented situation. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel, which technically qualified them for first contact. But their violent introduction to galactic civilization through pirate raids had colored their perception of alien species. They probably think we're all pirates and slavers, Counselor Thane observed gloomily. When the Council finally decided to make official first contact, they chose their most diplomatic representative. Ambassador Zental was known for his skill at peaceful negotiations and cultural sensitivity. The meeting took place on a neutral space station in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Ambassador Zental arrived with a small escort and full ceremonial honors. He expected to meet primitive humans who would be grateful for guidance and protection. Instead, he found himself facing UN Secretary General Maria Santos and a team of human negotiators who had clearly done their homework. Ambassador Zental, Secretary General Santos said politely, we appreciate you finally introducing yourselves, though we do have some questions about why your people have been secretly monitoring Earth for the past several months. The ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. You knew we were watching you? We figured it out after the pirate attack. Your surveillance satellites are quite sophisticated, but human radar technology has improved significantly since you deployed them. The meeting did not go as planned. Humans refused standard integration protocols. They insisted on maintaining their independence and demanded to be treated as equals rather than junior partners. When Ambassador Zental explained the gradual process usually used to introduce new species to galactic civilization, Secretary General Santos politely declined. We appreciate the offer, she said, but humanity prefers to learn by doing. We've already begun establishing our own colonies and trade routes. Perhaps we can work together as partners instead of teachers and students. The ambassador returned to the council with troubling news. Humans were not grateful primitives seeking guidance. They were a confident, aggressive species with their own agenda for galactic expansion. They're building more ships, he reported, dozens of them, and they're recruiting colonists by the millions. Admiral Kessera studied the latest intelligence reports with growing unease. Human shipyards were working at maximum capacity, producing vessels that combined alien technology with human innovations. Each new ship was better than the last, as humans refined their designs. They're learning faster than any species in recorded history, she told the War Council. At this rate, they'll have a fleet capable of challenging major powers within 5 years. Dr. Vexil presented his final assessment to the Emergency Council. Humans represent a paradigm shift in galactic civilization. They're unpredictable, aggressive, and adaptable. Traditional diplomatic and military strategies may not work against them. Are you saying they're a threat? Counselor Thane asked. I'm saying they're unprecedented. Whether they become threats or allies depends on how we handle first contact from this point forward. Unknown to the Council, that question was about to be answered in the most dramatic way possible. Deep in the void between galaxies, ancient, sensors detected movement. The Devourers were returning, and the galaxy would soon need every possible ally. even the dangerous, unpredictable humans of Earth. The warning came at 0347 Galactic Standard Time. Deep space monitoring stations along the rim of the galaxy detected massive energy signatures moving in from the void. Admiral Kessera was pulled from her sleep by urgent communications from Fleet Command. "Admiral, you need to see this," her aide said, handing her a data tablet. "Long-range sensors have detected multiple contacts approaching from intergalactic space." Kessera studied the readings, her scaled face growing pale. She had seen these energy signatures before, in historical records from 1,000 years ago. Ships the size of cities, powered by technology that made current galactic science look primitive. "Sound the alert," she ordered. "Emergency protocols. Get me a direct line to the High Council." Within hours, the news spread through every system in the galaxy. The Devourers had returned. For the younger species, the Devourers were legend, ancient machines that had terrorized the galaxy millennia, ago before mysteriously disappearing. For older races like the Hegemony and the Dominion, they were living nightmare. Their ancestors had fought the Devourers for centuries and barely survived. "Estimated fleet strength?" High Counselor Vexen asked during the emergency session. "At sea, least 300 capital ships," Admiral Kessera reported. "Possibly twice that number. They're maintaining formation as they approach the outer systems." The Devourer ships were massive constructs of metal and energy, each one capable of stripping a planet bare of resources within days. They moved through space like a plague, consuming everything in their path to fuel their endless expansion. "How long until they reach inhabited systems?" Counselor Thane asked. 6 weeks to the first colonies, 3 months to reach the core worlds. The galaxy mobilized for war. Ancient defense pacts were activated. Fleets that had faced each other in rivalry for centuries now joined forces against the common threat. The Hegemony's dreadnoughts sailed, alongside Dominion carriers. Trade Federation escorts protected collective supply ships. Admiral Kessera found herself commanding the largest military force in galactic history, over 15,000 ships representing dozens of species. They met the Devourers at the edge of the Rigel system, hoping to stop the invasion before it could gain momentum. The battle was a disaster. Devourer ships shrugged off weapons that could crack moons. Their defensive screens absorbed energy blasts that should have vaporized anything in space. When the galactic fleet fired, the ancient machines simply harvested the energy and used it to power their own weapons. "Fall back," Kessera ordered, as her flagship's hull began to buckle under alien fire. "All ships, retreat to secondary positions." The galactic fleet scattered in confusion. Ships that had dominated their regions for centuries fled like frightened children. In 6 hours of fighting, they had destroyed exactly 0 Devourer vessels while losing over 2,000 of their own. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead Devourer ship." The message was broadcast in perfect galactic standard, delivered in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "Organic vessels, you will withdraw or be consumed. This galaxy belongs to us. Your resistance only delays the inevitable." Admiral Kessera watched helplessly as the Devourer fleet continued its advance. Planet after planet fell to their overwhelming firepower. Billions of beings fled as refugees, while their homeworlds were stripped of all resources. Traditional galactic military doctrine was useless. Fleet tactics developed over millions of years proved worthless against an enemy that had adapted to counter every known strategy. The Devourers had fought these same battles 1,000 years ago and learned from them. "We need new thinking," Dr. Vexil told the Emergency War Council. "Conventional approaches aren't working." "What do you suggest?" High Counselor Vexon asked desperately. "The humans." The room fell silent. Most counselors had been too busy with the Devourer crisis to think about the strange species from Sol's system. But Dr. Vexil remembered the combat. "Footage from the pirate raid. They think differently than we do," he explained. "They use unconventional tactics and adapt quickly to new situations. If anyone can find a way to fight the Devourers, it's them." Admiral Kessera objected immediately. "The humans have been spacefaring for less than 2 years. They have maybe 50 ships total. How could they possibly help against this threat?" "Not with ships," Dr. Vexil replied. "With ideas." 3 days later, Admiral Kessera found herself traveling to Earth aboard a diplomatic vessel. The journey felt surreal, seeking help from primitives while the galaxy burned behind her. Earth's orbital defenses had improved dramatically in recent months. Human shipyards worked around the clock, building vessels that incorporated lessons learned from studying alien wreckage. When the diplomatic ship arrived, it was met by a squadron of human destroyers. Earth Defense Ship Indomitable. This is Admiral Kesra of the Galactic Defense Fleet, requesting permission to approach Earth for emergency diplomatic talks. The response came from Admiral Jack Harrison, recently promoted to head humanity's Space Defense Force. Admiral Kesra, you're cleared for approach. We've been expecting you. The meeting took place aboard the human space station Unity, orbiting high above Earth. Admiral Kesra was struck by the differences between human and galactic architecture. Where alien designs emphasized elegance and efficiency, human construction was purely functional, built to work rather than impress. Admiral Harrison was a tall man with gray hair and steady eyes. He listened carefully as Kesra explained the Devourer threat and the galaxy's desperate situation. "So you want our help," he said when she finished. "After spending months spying on us and treating us like dangerous primitives." Admiral Harrison, I understand your resentment, but billions of lives are at stake. The Devourers will not spare Earth simply because humans are new to galactic politics. Harrison studied tactical displays showing the Devourer advance. Human intelligence services had been monitoring galactic communications since achieving faster-than-light travel. They knew exactly how badly the war was going. "What exactly are you offering in exchange for our help?" he asked. "Full membership in the Galactic Council, access to all our technology and scientific databases, equal status among galactic civilizations. And if we refuse," Admiral Kesra's voice was grim, "then the galaxy falls and Earth dies with it," Harrison conferred with his staff for several hours. When he returned, his expression was determined. "Admiral Kesra, humanity accepts your proposal, but we fight this war our way, not yours." "What do you mean?" "Your fleets tried to meet the Devourers in conventional battle and failed. We won't make the same mistake. Humans don't fight fair when survival is at stake." Within weeks, human ships were joining galactic forces throughout the war zone, but they didn't reinforce failing battle lines or participate in massive fleet engagements. Instead, they operated in small groups, hitting Devourer supply lines and support vessels. "They're conducting guerrilla warfare in space," Admiral Kesra reported to the War Council. "The humans are treating this like a resistance movement rather than a conventional war." Human tactics were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They used kamikaze attacks, but with remote-controlled ships instead of crewed vessels. They deployed nuclear mines in asteroid fields where Devourer ships would be vulnerable. They even hijacked ancient communication networks to send false orders to isolated Devourer units. "The humans are thinking asymmetrically," Dr. Vexel observed. "Instead of trying to match Devourer firepower, they're attacking their weaknesses." For the first time since the war began, Devourer advances slowed. Human hit-and-run tactics forced the ancient machines to divert resources to protect their logistics. The massive Devourer fleets found themselves hunting human raiders instead of consuming planets, but even human ingenuity had limits. The Devourers adapted to each new tactic, learning and countering human strategies. The war became a deadly game of innovation versus experience, with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. Admiral Harrison knew that conventional warfare, even guerrilla warfare, would not be enough. The Devourers were too powerful and too numerous. Humanity needed to find something completely unexpected, a way to win that didn't depend on superior firepower or technology. The answer came from Dr. Elena Vasquez, the same scientist who had first reverse-engineered alien technology. While studying captured Devourer components, she made a discovery that would change everything. "Admiral," she called Harrison urgently, "you need to see this. I think I know what the Devourers really are." Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the readings on her screen for the third time, hardly believing what she was seeing. The Devourer technology sample sat on her lab table, its dark metal surface pulsing with faint energy patterns. "Admiral Harrison, you need to get down here immediately," she said into her communicator. "I've found something that changes everything." 20 minutes later, Admiral Harrison stood in the laboratory aboard the research station Discovery. Around him, human scientists worked frantically to understand alien technology that had puzzled the galaxy for millennia. "What have you found?" "Doctor?" Harrison asked. Elena pointed to the energy readings displayed on multiple screens. "The Devourers aren't machines, Admiral. They're not even artificial intelligence in the way we understand it." "Explain." "Look at these patterns," she said, highlighting specific data streams. "These aren't programmed responses or calculated algorithms. These are memory fragments, emotional patterns, and what I can only describe as dreams." Harrison frowned. "Dreams? In a machine?" "Not in a machine. The Devourers are uploaded consciousnesses, the digitized minds of an organic species that died out millions of years ago. They're not conquering the galaxy. They're trying to survive in the only way they know how. The revelation hit Harrison like a physical blow. For months, the galaxy had been fighting what they thought were soulless machines bent on destruction. Instead, they were facing the ghosts of a dead civilization, trapped in metal bodies and driven by fear. How is that possible? He asked. Elena activated a holographic display showing the internal structure of Devourer technology. Their original species faced extinction, probably a dying star or cosmic disaster. Instead of accepting death, they uploaded their minds into these mechanical bodies. But why do they consume everything in their path? Because they're terrified, Elena said quietly. Imagine being ripped from your organic body and stuffed into a machine. Imagine losing everything that made you feel alive. They consume resources and energy because they're desperately trying to maintain their existence. Harrison studied the data, his mind racing through the implications. If they're uploaded minds, there must be a central storage system, somewhere they keep their consciousness when they're not active. Exactly. I think I've found it. Elena brought up a different set of readings. There's a dimensional storage matrix connected to every Devourer ship. It exists in subspace, parallel to our reality. Can we access it? Theoretically, yes, but it would require a human mind to make the connection. Our neural patterns are similar enough to theirs that we might be able to interface directly with their consciousness storage. Admiral Harrison felt a chill run down his spine. You're talking about sending someone into their digital afterlife. It's the only way, Admiral. We can't defeat them with weapons because they're not really alive in any way that matters. But if we could reach them, talk to them, maybe we could find another solution. The plan was desperate and dangerous. Dr. Vasquez had developed a neural interface that could theoretically allow a human consciousness to enter the Devourer's dimensional storage matrix, but there was no guarantee the person would survive the experience or be able to return. I'll go, Elena volunteered immediately. Absolutely not, Harrison replied. You're the only one who understands this technology. We can't risk losing you. Then who? Harrison was quiet for a long moment, staring at the alien artifact. Me. I'll go. The preparation took 3 days. Elena and her team worked around the clock to refine the neural interface and map the Devourer's dimensional storage system. Meanwhile, the war continued to rage across the galaxy as ancient machines consumed world after world. Admiral Kesra arrived on the research station as the final preparations were being made. Admiral Harrison, the Council has asked me to express their gratitude for humanity's efforts, but this plan seems extremely risky. All our plans have been risky, Harrison replied. That's how humans operate. The interface chamber was a small room filled with complex machinery and neural monitoring equipment. Harrison lay on a medical table while technicians attached sensors to his head and body. Elena made final adjustments to the quantum field generators that would allow his consciousness to cross into subspace. Remember, she told him, you're not going there to fight. You're going to talk. The Devourers have been alone for millions of years, trapped in their digital prison. Maybe what they need isn't conquest. Maybe they need compassion. Harrison nodded, though he wasn't sure he believed it himself. How do you show compassion to beings that have consumed billions of lives? Initiating dimensional shift, Elena announced. Neural interface in 3, 2, 1. The world dissolved around Harrison. Reality became fluid, shifting between digital constructs and half-remembered dreams. He found himself floating in a vast space filled with countless points of light, each one a Devourer consciousness. The voices came from everywhere at once, a chorus of ancient minds crying out in digital anguish. Who dares enter our realm? Another. Organic seeking to destroy us? We will not die again. Please, Harrison said, his voice somehow carrying across the digital void. I'm not here to hurt you. I want to understand. The closest consciousness took form. A vaguely humanoid figure, made of light and memory. Its face was alien but somehow familiar, shaped by eons of pain and loss. You are human, it said. The new species that fights with such fury, why do you come here? Because you're in pain, Harrison replied. Because you've been trapped in this existence for millions of years, consuming worlds to maintain digital lives that bring you no joy. Joy? The being laughed bitterly. We have forgotten joy. We remember only the fear of ending, the terror of final death. But this isn't life, Harrison said gently. This is just existence. You've preserved your memories and thoughts, but you've lost everything that made existence worth preserving. More consciousnesses gathered around them, drawn by the unprecedented conversation. Harrison could feel their collective pain. beings that had chosen mechanical immortality over natural death and regretted it every moment since. "We cannot die," another voice said. "Our bodies are gone. Our world is dust. Only these forms remain." "You can choose to let go," Harrison offered. "You don't have to maintain this digital prison forever." "And face the unknown?" The first consciousness recoiled. "Face whatever comes after death?" "You're already facing the unknown," Harrison pointed out. "You've been living in fear for millions of years, consuming countless worlds to fuel an existence that brings you no peace. Maybe it's time to try something different." He felt their confusion, their ancient terror of endings. These beings had been so afraid of death that they had chosen a fate worse than death, eternal existence without purpose or joy. "I can offer you something," Harrison said quietly. "Not answers about what comes after death. Nobody knows that, but I can offer you the choice to stop running from it. You would help us die?" The question came from dozens of voices at once. "I would help you find peace, whatever that means for you." For the first time in millions of years, the devourer consciousnesses fell silent. Harrison waited, feeling the weight of their collective consideration. Finally, the first being spoke again. "How?" Elena monitored Harrison's vital signs from the laboratory, watching as his consciousness interfaced with the alien storage matrix. She couldn't follow the conversation, but she could see the energy patterns changing as thousands of devourer minds focused on the human admiral. "His neural activity is off the charts," she reported to Admiral Kessra. "Something significant is happening in there." In the digital realm, Harrison worked with the devourer consciousnesses to design their own ending. Not destruction, but transcendence, a way to move beyond their digital prison into whatever came next. "We do not know what lies beyond," the lead consciousness admitted. "None of us do," Harrison replied. "That's what makes it an adventure instead of a prison." One by one, the devourer minds made their choice. They had spent millions of years in mechanical bodies, consuming worlds to fuel their existence. Now they chose to trust a human who offered them the one thing they had denied themselves, the right to a natural ending. The process was surprisingly gentle. The consciousnesses simply let go. They released their hold on the digital storage matrix and allowed themselves to fade into whatever waited beyond existence. Harrison felt their fear transform into something like relief as they finally stopped running from death. When Harrison returned to physical reality, the war was over. Across the galaxy, devourer ships simply stopped functioning as their controlling minds chose transcendence over eternal mechanical existence. "Admiral, are you all right?" Elena asked as he opened his eyes. Harrison sat up slowly, feeling the weight of what he had witnessed. They're at peace now. Finally. Admiral Kessra received reports from across the galaxy. The Devourer fleet had gone silent, their massive ships drifting lifeless through space. The greatest threat in galactic history had ended not with weapons or destruction, but with an act of compassion from a species that had been spacefaring for less than 3 years. "How did you know?" she asked Harrison later. "How did you know that talking to them would work?" Harrison considered the question carefully. "Because that's what humans do when we see something suffering. We try to help, even if it's